Hi, it's Mark from Source. On this page, you can download our exact playbook of how we recruit amazing overseas remote talent, specifically from the South African market, at salaries that are up to 80% less than UK or US equivalents. To put that into real terms, you're looking at a saving of somewhere between £20,000 to £40,000 per candidate per year, which is crazy when you start to think about the impact that's going to have on your profit margins. I've been through this journey, and it is truly one of the greatest strategies I think a business can deploy, specifically in these post-COVID times where it's now much easier to recruit, manage, and scale remote teams. If you're still focused purely on local talent, you really are missing a trick here. Now, you're probably thinking this must come at some sort of cost to productivity and performance, which it can, specifically if you don't have the right onboarding processes or you don't have the right systems to manage a remote team or a remote workforce. Thankfully, I've been through all of the teething problems that one has to learn when they switch to a remote setup, or even just bringing on one remote employee. And I share all of that insight in this playbook so that you don't have to go through those challenges. Before I share exactly what's in the ebook, which will take a few minutes, I just want to quickly summarize why it's worth listening to me and a little bit of my journey in the space. So I'm just going to make myself a bit smaller, move myself down here. So I've been a location independent entrepreneur for the last decade or so, just over a decade. And over that time, we've launched a number of businesses. Unfortunately, some of them haven't been very successful, but we have had some successes. Two specific businesses that we've grown totally from remote teams: our marketing agency, Contentlick, which we grew to 7 figures and recently sold to the NASDAQ-listed company Onfolio, was built out of South Africa with a remote team. We had 15 full-time staff and over 100 freelancers in that business. And we're now replicating that strategy into our adventure travel booking platform, Skyhook, where we're using exactly the same playbook that we share here. And then, of course, we've also got our headhunting agencies where we help organizations like yours find amazing talent, get the right talent into the right seats. I've recruited literally hundreds of staff from all over the world, from various markets: Philippines, Latin America, Eastern Europe, India, Pakistan. And I genuinely believe South Africa is the best market. Now, a little caveat there: I am originally from South Africa, so obviously have a bias to the market, but I do genuinely believe, specifically if you're a British company, a UK company, or a European company, but even for American companies, depending on the nature of the work, South Africa is a fantastic market. And let me just briefly explain why. First off, South Africa is an ex-British colony. That means that the systems and educational system in South Africa mirrors that of Britain. But it also means that many of the people in South Africa who have tertiary education or a higher degree level of education are actually native English speakers. That's quite different from some of the other markets where you get large salary arbitrage opportunities, for example, the Philippines or Latin America, where many people do have great command of English, but they're not native English speakers. And that really does make a difference and makes South Africa stand out as a really great market to recruit from. Not only that, but South Africans are also very culturally similar to people, to Brits or to Britain. And I would argue also the United States, which is a huge thing when it comes to recruitment. You need to be able to click with your staff. You need to be able to meet on a similar sort of cultural plane and gel. And I think South Africa, in terms of the offshore markets with large salary arbitrage opportunities, is almost the clear winner in that space. South Africa is also on a great time zone, specifically for British and European countries. You're looking at roughly 1 hour ahead of the UK, depending on whether it's winter or summer, and often on the same time zone for many European countries. In terms of the States, it can be a little bit challenging because South Africa is roughly 6 hours ahead of East Coast, but it can also be a great opportunity to work with South African staff, because if they're ahead of you, that means they're getting tasks done whilst you're sleeping. You can then wake up and still have phone calls with those people later in the afternoon whilst it's your morning. So it can be very efficient, and we've seen many companies who've recruited through us see great success with this kind of being slightly ahead all the time. The biggest benefit, of course, is the salary arbitrage, though. And I just want to kind of walk you through that for a second. So currently, the South African rand trades at a significant discount to the major currencies of the world: dollars, pounds, euros. The current exchange as of the middle of this year is up on the screen. And I suspect this trend of devaluation is going to actually continue through time, which is why we recommend most of our clients pay their South African staff in local currency and not in an international currency, because you're not only benefiting today at a highly discounted rate against, let's say, if you in Britain paying in pounds, but potentially into the future, you're also going to see the benefits of a currency devaluation through time. So in terms of salaries, in the playbook, we provide 50 common roles and a comparison between South Africa and the UK in terms of average salaries. And obviously, there's quite a bit of movement around average salaries because every role's got various nuances and various levels of seniority. But this is a really good guide of the potential savings. So, for example, if you were recruiting a sales development rep, an SDR, you're looking at somewhere between 30, 35, 40,000 pounds a year in the UK, whereas in South Africa you could potentially get that person for 10, 12, 15,000 pounds. So a significant saving, and the quality of individual is really astounding actually when you start to see what degree of talent you can recruit out of the country. So in the playbook we've got these 50 roles, but what else is in the playbook? Well, we have obviously recruited for many years out of South Africa, and we've basically assessed all the various places where one can advertise. So we show you exactly where you can get the best talent, the highest concentration of great talent, and which job boards to use, which universities to speak to in terms of getting your name out into the graduate community. So we set that all out in the playbook. We also explain how to create a job spec. What you'll find is a lot of companies will just put out a vanilla job specification. What they get is vanilla CVs back, and those are really hard to screen. So we've got a very clear process of doing this, and we share this in the playbook of how to screen candidates up front through the application process without having to rely heavily on CVs, because CVs can be very misleading. In addition to that, as I said, you get the salary guide, but I've also provided an onboarding guide, and I think you're going to find this fairly amazing. There's lots of great nuggets here. So what I've done in the onboarding guide is share exactly what we did at Contentlex. So it's a case study with a huge amount of interesting nuggets, key learnings that you can implement in your business today, whether you're already part remote, or whether this is if you're at the beginning of the journey to moving to a remote workforce or a partial remote workforce. I think you'll find it very insightful. We also deal with the legal and compliance issues. We touch on this briefly and also direct you to further information on this. But in a nutshell, there's two ways that you can engage remote staff. One is engaging them on a full-time employment contract, and they come onto your payroll. That's got various complexities. Or you could go down the lower risk route, and the one that I would recommend, which is an independent contractor agreement. And to help you on that route, we've also provided a template of a contractor agreement that you can literally adapt to your needs and use today. So there's a ton of value in this book. It basically sets out how to do this yourself, where to find people, how to screen them, and how to onboard them. So I highly recommend downloading it and checking it out. Obviously, if you want us to do this for you, we would be delighted to help you out in the process. Recruitment is challenging, it is time consuming, and particularly when you're doing remote overseas recruitment, if you don't have a kind of depth knowledge of the market, there are little hurdles and mistakes you can make along the way that are challenging. With us, I'm South African, the whole team is South African, we've got boots on the ground, we understand the nuances of the market and the candidates, and can really help you guide you through that process. How we work is we initially set up a phone call with you to understand your organization and the types of roles that you're recruiting for. Out of that comes a job spec, we push that out into our network, and then we spend the next couple of weeks screening hundreds of CVs. We generally cap it out around 300 to 400 applications, and then we test those people, we interview them for you, and we create a short list of 3 to 5 candidates, which we then hand over to you to make the final decision. If you're not happy with those 3 to 5 candidates, we'll find you more. And the great thing is this is zero risk because you don't pay up front. The way that we work is if you don't hire, you don't pay us effectively. If you do make a hiring decision, we take a one-time fee of 25% of the annual candidate's salary. So for example, if you hire someone on £15,000 a year, you'd pay us £3,750 as a one-time fee. We usually charge a £1,000 non-refundable deposit, but if you download the ebook and then decide to use us as your headhunting or recruitment agency, we will totally waive that fee. And then finally, I would recommend that if you do make a hiring decision, you always bring someone on a probationary period, and we offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if it doesn't work out with the candidate, we'll either refund you or we'll find you more candidates so you can continue the process. So I hope you enjoyed the ebook. You can download it below, and if you want to have a chat with us about potentially us doing this with you, or just talk about the process, we're always happy to jump on a phone call. Just go to our website and click the process to start hiring. All right, best of luck. Cheers.